Hey guys, let's talk General Hospital for today, April 6th, 2026. We're finally wrapping up this crazy day. It's been a crazy day for me. Let me say, it's been a crazy day to me since, especially since 7 o'clock this morning when the 16-second weekly promo for General Hospital came out this week. Because what is going on, babes? But anyway, so we start this episode with Sunny and Sidwell and Rick. They're all still at the church, and Sunny is telling Sidwell that he didn't have anything to do with Marco's death, and he's explaining to Sidwell how he lost his son Morgan, so he wouldn't do that to him, not that way. And yes, he did kidnap Marco over the summer, but that was to send a message. This doesn't send a message or the kind of message Sonny would be trying to send. This is not him. This would not be him. He doesn't have a reason to have done this. But Sidwell is pretty much not hearing anything that Sonny has to say. He still blames Sonny for what has happened to Marco. Then we have Jordan and Justine. They're working out, and um, you know, they start talking about Sonny, and Justine asks Jordan if she can, relay the message to Sidwell that Sonny didn't have anything to do with Marco's murder. And Jordan, first she kind of questions it, and then Justine is like, do you think he would go after, he has no motive, do you think he would go after Sidwell, knowing the blowback that it could have on his whole entire family? And then, Jordan does know Sonny, so she thinks about it, and she's like, no. Then they go to workout, and then after their workout, they start talking about, um, you know, Justine is concerned for Jordan working for someone like Sidwell because he's dangerous. He's a suspect in the bombing of Charlie's, all of that. And um, with all of that, um, Jordan is like, yeah, but working with him allows me to have a personal life and the freedom to do this, that, and the other. And me and Curtis found our way back together. And, I'm just glad that I'm not on my deathbed wishing that I had spent more time with the people that I love. Are y'all picking up what I'm putting down? Jordan mentioned being on her deathbed. Anyway, so then we have we have Danny and Charlotte, and Danny comes to Crimson to see Charlotte because he's upset still about his dad, and he wants to take action. And Charlotte is trying to caution him from doing something reckless, but he says that he already has a plan and that he's not going to do anything reckless. Meanwhile, Jacinda starts questioning Charlotte. She overhears their conversation, and when she overhears the conversation, she also overhears that Charlotte's father talked to Danny. So she is in contact with her father, and as we remember, Brennan has tasked Jacinda with the job of getting some intel on Valentine. So she's done a lot more than Nina has done, and Nina's had months. So Jacinda continues to probe her, and she tells Jacinda lies, of course, but Jacinda already knows their lies because she overheard the conversation that Charlotte had with Danny. Then we have Trina and Curtis. Stella has asked that they meet her over at Curtis's house. Well, Jordan's house. Jordan and Curtis's house. And Curtis is like, "What? I don't know why. What? Okay, whatever." And then while they're there waiting for Stella, um while they're there waiting for Stella, Trina tells Curtis that, she's going to be singing at Charlie's tonight. And Curtis is all excited. She's trying to calm him down. He was like, "Yeah, calming down is out of the question. I'm your dad. That's not going to happen." Meanwhile, while they're waiting on Stella, Stella is at the hospital and she has brought Portia donuts. Was so funny to me because in the scenes with food, Brooke never eats. However, the time that she has eaten on camera is always sugar. It was the lemon donuts on New Year's Eve one day, and now it's donuts again. But anyway, I digress. I want a donut. No, I don't. But anyway, a tangent about donuts. But anyway, she is trying to bribe Portia into them all decorating the nursery at Portia's house for the baby. And Portia was like, "Well, why don't y'all go decorate the baby at Jordan house?" Like, I mean, decorate the nursery at Jordan house, because, like, I don't understand this part. Stella was like, she's really not trying to do that. She's trying to avoid that. I don't know why she's trying to avoid decorating the nursery at Stella's house, but okay, I digress. It's weird. I don't know what's going on, but Portia is like, "Okay, yeah, okay, it's cool." And so then Isaiah comes back from the funeral and she's telling him about the conversation with Stella. And here he comes because he doesn't like the peace between the two parents. I'm telling you. And that is giving me problems with Isaiah. But he doesn't like the peace between the two parents. So here he comes questioning, is it really your house if Curtis is going to be decorating it the way he wanted to decorate it? Who said Curtis was decorating anything the way he wanted to decorate? It's just like everything he tries to question everything, and I wish that Portia was more forceful in her pushback, because I remember a time when Curtis was questioning her something about when they first started dating. Curtis was questioning something about her telling Trina about their past, and she like snapped immediately. Like, can we get that back? But at the end of the day, she said that she's good with them all decorating the nursery together. So I'm glad she made her own decision. But anyway, then Stella goes to Curtis's and tells Curtis, and everybody is excited, and Trina is up looking up themes, and Kai is going to come and help because Stella said they need him to do the ceiling. I can't help it. I am 38 hot with Curtis, but as far as this baby goes, I'm a sucker for a family. But anyway, then we have Chase and BLQ. They're at the house, and they're meeting with Willow so that they can, find out if they're going to be able to take the baby. And then Willow's in the living room, and Michael walks in, and Michael is asking if it's okay for extra lessons with Kai, and Willow is flashing back to the information she now has about Kai. And she's like, "Yeah." And then, she meets with BLQ and Chase, and, they talk about, them fostering the baby and making sure that they know that the baby will go back to the family once they're located. And then when she's leaving, she's talking to Chase, and she says that they're doing new background checks on everyone, including Kai. Did Kai's name come up in the investigation? Here she go. But y'all, that was GH for today. It was pretty good. I think this week will be good. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll be back hopefully for a normal day tomorrow. Bye. Hey guys, let's talk General Hospital for today, April 7th, 2026. Thanks. So we start this episode off at Charlie's. Everyone, half the town is there, for the grand opening of Charlie's. Everybody is there. Josh, Trina, Kai, Cam, Cam, no Cam. That's funny. But Jocelyn, Cam, Jocelyn, Trina, Kai, Geo, Emma, other people are all there, excited for the evening. Christina is talking to her dad, and he's apologizing for not making it to her first grand opening, but being excited to be at this one. And she's like, "Oh, you put money behind it?" He was like, "Yeah, but the insurance covered it." And she was like, "Well, you put money behind the first one, and you still put a little bit behind the the insurance, thanks, doing the dad and daughter thing or whatever." Back at the Q mansion, um Brooklyn is at the Q mansion with Lucy, and she's telling Lucy how her and Chase are going to foster um Delilah's baby. And she's also telling her, about the process and about Wiley and all of that. And, then the conversation turns to business, and they're just drinking wine and chatting and kikiing. And then we see Brooklyn get a call from Dante, and she leaves the house driving after she was drinking wine. Put a pin in that. Then we have Geo and Emma. Geo's a little nervous, and Emma's talking to him about his nervousness, and telling her that she might have to go on with Trina. And she's like, "Yeah, because my basic knowledge of guitar is going to be good enough, to back Trina up." And, she is encouraging him, and it's cutesy or whatever. Trina, Joss, and Kai are talking. Joss is trying to figure out how long it took Kai to convince Trina to do this. And, she's talking about how, she's nervous. And then, everybody is just chit chatting. It's cute. It's a nice little vibe. Meanwhile, Curtis is at home with nobody. I'm sorry. Curtis is at home. I'm missing something. Yeah. Curtis is at home, and Jordan comes in from yoga. As we saw, she was at yoga the other day. So she comes home, and Curtis is looking at Trina's vision board for the nursery, and he tells her about Aunt Stella's plan, and Jordan snarkily asks, because everything about Portia she has to do snarky. And I'm sorry, I'm just one of those people who believe Jordan is the problem in that situation. But anyway, she snarkily asks, "What does Portia think about that?" And Curtis is like, "She's on board." And she's like, "Oh, I'm surprised." And then Jordan is like, "What about the nursery here?" And I'm just like, Curtis is like, "That depends on you." And they start talking about doing the nursery there or whatever. And then Jordan is like, she's telling him about her conversation with Justine and how she is happy that they have each other and their life or whatever is going on there. So she's all excited, and she tells them that she made reservations. And so she made reservations, and so she gonna go get showered and changed or whatever, so that they can go out for their reservation. And they leave, and they go out, and Curtis has his keys in hand, and she was like, "Oh, I parked behind you. I'll drive." Put a pin in that, y'all. Meanwhile, Curtis and Portia, no, not Curtis and Portia anymore. Isaiah and Portia are at Isaiah's cabin because Portia, want to get away from everybody because her house, I guess, is still feeling very much like the family house. And so, if they want to get away from everybody, it's best to go to Isaiah's cabin because it's not too far away, but just far enough away that everybody wouldn't come convene there. And nobody was coming to convene there if it was next door to your house, but I digress. Anyway, so they're at the cabin, and Portia is, telling him, like, yeah, you know, basically, it's going to be a lot of Curtis in my life, especially when the baby gets here. And, if you want out, I won't hold it against you. And he's like, no, I'm good with it or whatever. One thing led to another. Then Isaiah gets a phone call and he has to go back to Port Charles to see Lulu because she calls to have him come because they're kind of like friends because of Lucky, I guess. So she calls him, which is stupid to me because I would think that she would call Liz because Liz treated Rocco, but I guess I digress. Anyway, so she calls um Isaiah, and so Isaiah leaves the cabin to go to Lulu's. Put a pin in that. So then Britt and Nathan are chatting and she knows that he's Cassius, which I knew that she knew. She knows he's Cassius. He's trying to get her in line. She is definitely not trying to be in line, but then she's like, maybe I do need to go talk to Sidwell because if I talk to Sidwell, I can tell him that Cullum killed his son because he needs to know that, which I don't think is a good thing because, yeah. So I don't know if they necessarily got in the car, but put a pin in them too. Then we have Lulu and Dante, and Dante is talking, to Gio. I mean, excuse me, talking to his other son. What's his other son name? Rocco. Gio and Rocco. That's funny. But anyway, he's talking to Rocco because he didn't know that Rocco had hurt his hand. And then, they talk about that. And then they make um they make Dante leave to go see Gio play at Charlie's. Well, no, sorry. They meet him to go to Christina's opening night. But when he gets there, he finds out that Gio is playing and he's all excited because he gets to see his son play. And then he calls Brooklyn because come see Gio, which is why she leaves the house. So then we also have Danny and Charlotte. They are at um the gym, and Danny has a lot in their head, so they decide to go out for a wild drive and they leave, so they're in the road. Put a pin in them. So we put a pin on everybody is out on the road, right? Um we have BLQ on the road. We have um Charlotte and Danny. We have Isaiah. We have Curtis and Jordan. We have Britt and Nathan. Everybody is out there on the road, y'all. And Curtis and Jordan are driving along, and they're driving, and they're all looking, and he's grabbing her thigh with his wedding band on. Oh, I'm sorry, that's not important to the story. He's grabbing her thigh, and they're all happy. She looks at him, and she's like, "I love you," and he's like, "I love you too." And they're kissing while driving, very distractedly. And then next thing they know, they look back at the road, and they're swerving to miss an oncoming vehicle. But like I said, a lot of people are on the road. Who is the oncoming vehicle? It's the question. But that was GH for today. Let me know what you thought about today's episode, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Remember, it'll be a little bit later than this because I'll be commuting. Bye. Hey guys, let's talk General Hospital for today, April 8th, 2026. I'm sorry, I may be a little bit antsy today or seem like I'm on caffeine or something. I'm not, because today's soaps were good. So, General Hospital, we start today off with Sidwell. He's in his house and he's looking at pictures of Marco. You know, he's a grieving dad now. I guess I should care that he's grieving, but you know, he wreaks havoc all over wherever he goes. So, you know, these are the rules of engagement. But anyway, he's grieving, and I was gonna call him Nathan. Cassius brings Britt over, and you know, she said yesterday that she was gonna tell him that Cullum um killed Marco. But Cassius kind of like preempts her and you know, tells her that they got a timeline on Jason. So Sonny didn't send Jason to do it. And so, you know, she apologizes and tells him that she'll do whatever he wants or whatever, as long as he don't kill her. However, they were interrupted by Ava before he could respond, and then he, you know, lets her go and then, you know, basically said, no more problems out of you, and she agrees, and then she gets into it with her brother, but he tells her that he's not going to come to her aid anymore. Then we have Valentine and Carly. They're at home, and well, Carly comes home and Valentine is there with a drink ready for her, and she's like, why are you downstairs? You keep risking us getting in trouble, you know, being all over the place, and then next thing you know, one thing led to another, he got her pinned up against the wall. Baby, let me tell you. So they against the wall kissing or whatever, and then Carly's phone starts ringing, and it's Charlotte calling from Danny's phone, and she tells that she's calling for her dad because she got to be covert because they're looking for her to talk to Valentine. So that's why she used Danny's phone to call her. So it doesn't look like she's trying to call Valentine or whatever. And so she's like, we had car trouble. Can y'all come help? And she tells them where, you know, they are. And Carly and Valentine, they run out to go help the kids. Put a pin in that. Yes, we back with the pins. So Trina and Joss are talking at Charlie's, and Trina's like, I'm glad that you were able to find time in your busy schedule because you're my best friend, blah, blah, blah. And Joss is like, I'm your only nurse's ball partner. And she's like, yeah, of course, blah, blah, blah. And they're hugging or whatever. And then Ava comes in, and after the fact, I guess she didn't invite Ava either. She didn't want her people there because I guess they would make her more nervous. I don't know what was up with that, but Ava is there to, you know, give her congratulations and basically leave. But of course, when Trina is talking to Ava, Joss excuses herself, and then she goes over to thank Kai for, you know, pushing Trina to do this or whatever. And then Emma is talking with Gio and Dante. It's just everybody is mixing and mingling at Charlie's after the open mic night. And also Christina is like working, and Jacinda wants to do something nice for her. So Jacinda gets up and sings, but we didn't see Jacinda sing. But she gets up and sings with the accompaniment of Gio as well, and you know, everybody's all happy. Joss overhears a conversation between Emma and Dante, and she starts asking questions because you know she WSB, she always working an angle. And so she's asking questions, and Dante and Emma are a little like taken aback by her questions, like, girl, what this got to do with you? And then also we see Dante flashing back to the conversation that he had with with Anna about, Jocelyn throwing her life away for the WSB. And then we have Lulu and Rocco at home. Isaiah shows up and treats Rocco, and he's like, why y'all want to go to the hospital? He didn't really ask, but he knows that something is going on, and he's like, don't worry, no one will ever know that I treated you, but you wrote a prescription. I digress. Anyway, and he has a staph infection. Rocco has a staph infection, but they think they caught the infection in time, um you know to get him the antibiotics before it becomes more dire. Then we have Curtis and Jordan. So Curtis and Jordan are both, like, they hit a tree guardrail type situation, and they are both unconscious. They're both unconscious. And Curtis comes to first, and he pulls Jordan back from the steering wheel, and her face is cut and she's all bloody, and he's like, baby, wake up. And he is trying to get her to come to. Jordan never comes to. Curtis says that he smells gasoline, so he gets out of the car. The door on his side opens easily. He gets out. He goes around the car. Well, he looks under the car, and he does see like fluid leaking. So he goes around the car, and he tries to open the driver's side door, but the driver's side door won't budge. He goes in the trunk, and he finds a crowbar, and he's trying to pry the door open, but he can't get it open. Like, he's trying all he can, but he can't get it open. So he's like, I'm going to have to pull you out. So before he can pull her out, Carly and Valentine happen upon them. And Valentine gets out, and he goes to help them. And he does. He helps them get the door open, helps Curtis get the door open, and they get Jordan out of the car. And it took two of them to carry Jordan. That was weird. And then they're walking away from the car, and as they're walking away from the car does explode, and they all hit the ground. Like, this is all too much for somebody who just had a accident. Like, Curtis probably got a concussion. We already know that Jordan got kidney problems, and she done hit her head pretty decent because she hasn't come to. And then she fall on the ground too with the explosion. Child, what they trying to do to her? What they what are they trying to do? So, you know, back at Charlie's, Brooklyn finally arrives, but she's being shifty as I don't know what. Like, she's antsy, like everybody is talking to her, but she is wearing guilt or whatever all over her face. Y'all think that she caused these accidents and then left the scene? That's like the worst thing you can do. That's worse than the DUI, girl. Leaving the scene. And those people was hurt. I don't hope Jordan don't die, but you better hope Jordan don't die, because, girl, that's like elevated charges. Normally it would be like vehicular manslaughter if, you know, you but by you leaving the scene, that like elevates the crime. Like, girl, why did you do that? So Carly takes the kids back to the house, and she has Corinthos Towing tow the vehicle and fix it or whatever. And she's talking to the kids, and she was like, did y'all cause that accident with them other people? And yeah, I don't think the kids caused the accident. It's possible that Brooklyn could have caused both accidents. Child, I don't know what's going on, but soaps GH was good today. I'm looking forward to see what happens tomorrow. Let me know what you all thought of today's episode, and I will see you all tomorrow evening. Bye. Hey guys, let's talk General Hospital for today, April 9th, 2026. So we pick up this day again at Charlie's because let's be in Charlie's all week. No, but we pick up today at Charlie's, and Michael, Jacinda, and Christina are talking, and Christina was like, "How come we never knew you could sing?" You know, they're all excited, and she's like, she want to keep Michael on her toes. I mean, on his toes and all. So everybody is feeling light and airy at the end of the night. The grand reopening was pretty much a success. I'm not going to say pretty much a success. It was a success. Nothing bad or anything happened. It was great. Then we go to the cabin, and Isaiah returns, and Portia is asking, basically where he was because she called the hospital and they hadn't seen him. And he's like, I had a house call, and he's acting like a little weird, but immediately I assume he's being weird because, it's like a secret house call. So he doesn't really want to get into it. But then they continue to talk, and Trina calls. And Trina is like, Dad and Jordan were in an accident. Dad's okay. I don't know why she's calling Portia because this has absolutely nothing to do with Portia, unless Curtis is dead or on his way being dead. This has absolutely nothing to do with her. But she's like, oh, okay. They get off the phone, and Portia relays the information to Isaiah, and he's like, yeah, we should go to the hospital. And Portia was like, yeah, I don't think I need to go to the hospital, but I know you were close with Jordan. If you want me to go sit with you, I will. Because, yeah, what she need to go for again? If her baby daddy ain't wrapped around the tree, like, what she need to go for? And so she's talking about, how car accidents really terrify her because one minute you're driving along, and then the next minute you're distracted driving and kissing, and then you're smashed into a guardrail, And so while she's talking about the accident, Isaiah gets this strange look on his face, and I guess we are supposed to assume that it's a possibility that he has something to do with the accident. So now we have a brand new who done it, whereas where who caused the car accident on Route 91. Okay. So, next we have Emma and Gio, and they're talking, and Gio is talking about how this is the first time since the nurses' ball that he has performed in front of both his parents, and how good it felt to him. And he's talking about, you know, they're just talking, having conversation, cute little Gemma conversation. I don't really remember the gist of it, but it's just cute conversation that they had. And then they went back to Emma's apartment and got it on. Sorry. And then we have Trina and Kai, and they're still enjoying the night. People are still congratulating Trina on, her performance and all. And Trina gets a phone call from her father, and she learns that Jordan and Curtis were in an accident, and she goes to the hospital. And um she wants to get him checked out because he looks bad, because I kept laughing at his head. Oh, sorry. Anyway, he looks bad, and she's like trying to get him looked out, but he doesn't really care about himself right now because Jordan's life is hanging in the balance or whatever. And we find out that she has some internal bleeding around her kidney, her one remaining kidney, and Jordan has to be rushed into emergency surgery. Then we have BLQ and Tracy. They're at the house, and Tracy was at a board meeting or something, not for the hospital board, but some philanthropic work that she does. So she's at a meeting, and she's like, Yuri said you flew out of here like a bat out of hell. That's not what she said, but that's what she said. And she was like, yeah, Gio was playing at Charlie's. He's playing guitar. And they're talking about that. And she tells Tracy how she did get to see the second performance with him and Jacinda, and that how Gio made it a point to talk to her and let her know that he wasn't trying to exclude her. And Tracy is just telling her how lucky Gio is to have her as a mother that fought for a place in his life. And, it's all feel good, lovey dovey stuff. But Brooklyn, where were you on the night of, no, just joking. But no, where were you? Like, why were you sketchy when you got to Charlie's last night? And what took you so long to get to Charlie's? And why was you driving drunk? Because we saw you sipping wine and then get in the car and drive. And now we got two people who hit guardrails, and you see how, side note, you see how Curtis and Jordan hit the guardrail and they were clearly injured. The kids hit the guardrail and they're not as injured. I say they're injured as much as they are because they were not paying attention to the road and Jordan overcorrected. But if you, former police officer, would have been paying attention to the road, you would not have overcorrected and you wouldn't be hanging on for dear life right now. But I digress. What do I know? I don't. What do I know? I only worked in the insurance industry. I'm just saying. But I might not be that knowledgeable. Okay. But anyway, then we have Carly and Valentine, and Valentine is asking to see Charlotte, and Carly's like, "Why? I'm telling you, she's okay." He was like, basically, Charlotte is a liar. She's a skilled liar. I taught her how to lie, and she will look you dead in the face and tell you what you want to hear, and be lying through her teeth. And so she was like, okay, I'll get her over here to see you tomorrow. And then she's like, she's going upstairs, and he's like, what's going on? And she's like, how do I know you're not lying to me and telling me what I want to hear? They keep having the same fight, but they got feelings, y'all. Real deal feelings. And I didn't know how I felt about it at first, but I don't know. It's kind of cute. I'm not necessarily a fan of Valentine, but I mean, this is kind of cute. Anything better than Brennan. Speaking of, he comes over there and he's like, Carly, I love you, and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And she got to keep the charade going. So she goes with it and they go upstairs. She don't say, I love you back, though. Note that. They go upstairs, but Valentine, he's spinning out. He know Carly upstairs. He on the stairs. He don't know if he want to go upstairs. He just like, now he up there with my woman, and he just don't know what to do. He drinking, and then next thing you know, he walks outside, put the hood on his head, and walks away. Where he going? You do know you still on the lam. You can't be walking around outside, but I know your girl is upstairs getting her back blown. Yeah. Anyway, so then we have Curtis at the hospital, Jordan, and he's crying, talking about some I love you, gotta pull through. And Trina and Kai are looking on, and then Trina speaks with Liz and it's like, look, I know my dad said he's all right, but can we have a doctor look at him? Because I just need to make sure he good. which I guess she being a good daughter to him, I guess. But yeah, that was General Hospital for today. Let me know what you all thought in the comments, and I will be back tomorrow so we can close out this week. Bye. Hey guys, let's talk General Hospital for today, April 10th, 2026. So we start this episode with Jack and Carly. Jack is leaving after their night last night, and they're at the door, and he's like you know is talking about staying or whatever, and she's like, "Oh, you're a wishful thinker," or whatever she's saying, and you know Valentine is waiting for Jack to leave. And when Jack does leave, he asks Carly how long until she betrays him. And Carly is taken aback by this because, what do you mean? And he said, "You looked guilty. I saw you last night." And she said, "Yeah, I look guilty because he loves me and I'm playing him." And she's he's saying, "You don't have to enjoy it so much." And he which was quite funny to me. But he's like, "You don't have to enjoy it so much." And she was like, "Well, what do you want me to do? You want me to glare and hiss? Like, what do you want?" And she's like, "Are you jealous?" And he's like, "Yes." Like, point blank in the period, yes. I'm like, "Oh, all right, Val, I see you." And so, they're having a conversation, and she's like, talking to him, like, and he's telling her, she, you know, came to Steinmeier, oh, my nose. She came to Steinmeier, and you know, she did all of this. She brought his daughter to him on Christmas Eve. She did all of this. And of course he cares for her. And, she's like, "So it's not like you would feel this way about anyone who helped you out." And then it came down to, us sleeping together was wrong and we're not doing it again. And for Valentine to stay in the attic. They're funny. I am very amused by Carly and um Valentine. I never thought that I would. I never thought that was something that I needed, but I'm actually enjoying them. I love their arguments. I Maybe Carly makes Valentine a little bit more palatable to me. I don't know, but I'm not mad at it. I'm enjoying it right now. Then we have Molly and Cody. She's still convalescing from her surgery, and Cody, like he said, is taking care of her. And while he's taking care of her, um, one of the edits for her book comes in, and they're talking about it, and he asks her if she's going to make any changes to her book. And she's like, "That depends on you. What do you think?" And he's like, "Keep it the same." And, she's talking to him about, her inspiration behind the book and how he did inspire the book. But in writing the book, she learned and saw a different side to Cody, and saw that there was much more to Cody than she ever thought, than whatever met the eye. And so, they're being cute and lovable or whatever. Like, they don't do anything for me, but let them people how they love, I guess. Your former mother-in-law's laying on her deathbed though. You gonna go see? No? Okay. That was funny. But anyway, then we have Rick and Sunny, and they're handling some business at Sunny's house. And then Sunny voices his concern about Danny, because although Danny, they, try to pretty brush Danny off and like placate him a little, Sonny knows that Danny is just not going to leave it alone. And, he's trying to figure out, he wants Rick to tell Alexis, about the conversation with um Sonny and Danny. And he was like, "You want me to tell her? You tell her." And Sonny's like, "Look, we on good terms. I'm not trying to, and you want me to go in the line of fire," which is funny because neither one of them want to mess too much with Alexis and her grandkid, because we want to keep the peace with Alexis as much as possible. So it was so funny to me because Sonny's like trying to send Rick, and Rick is like, "Why don't you go? That's your baby mama." And then, Rick and Sonny have a moment also at the door, and Sonny's like, "You're my brother." Y'all, do y'all trust Rick fully where Sonny is concerned? Because I'm scared. Like, I feel like for he's playing the long game. So, like, for right now, he is playing his cards right where Sonny is concerned. But I feel like he's gonna turn on him at some point, and I'm like anxious every time they share scenes and every time he gets deeper into Sonny's business, like, because it's he going to end up betraying his brother. Like, I don't know, y'all. I'm scared. And then we have Willow and Drew. And my friend asked me, my friend Asia, shout out to her. She's hilarious. But she asked me today, is Willow just gonna keep talking to herself? Because essentially that's what she's doing. She's talking to herself. She keeps having these long monologues when speaking with Drew. But like Drew can't talk back, so you basically just talking into the air and talking to yourself, girl. But she in there talking to herself, shooting him up with drugs or whatever, and talking about how she gotta figure out a way that how she is now able to be helpful on a small and big scale. She helped Brooklyn and Chase. She is got something passed for like schools or whatever. So she's like all excited about everything she's able to do that she wouldn't have been able to do before, because Drew tried to keep her so in the box or whatever, and so confound that like she has found her liberation, and she's so excited and she's talking about all of this. And while she's talking, Nina comes over, and Nina is like, "Look, I don't know what to do. Charlotte ain't giving me nothing. And if whoever else he has looking in on this comes to him with information before I do, he's going to put the tape out there." And Willow's spinning out because if they put the tape out there, then, you know, even though she can't be tried again, her political career would be over. And she's just talking about that. Like, that's really like on her mind, and it's really upsetting to her or whatever. And so Nina is like, eh, Willow is telling her that she has to try harder, and she says she can't. And then now she wants to use Carly to get to Brennan. So we see Nina talk to Brennan and says, "Well, if you release the tape, then Carly gonna know that you had information to help her precious son, and you didn't." Y'all think that Brennan gonna go for that? And then we have Curtis and Laura, and she's up there consoling the egghead. And then Sidwell comes, and she kind of redirects Sidwell from bothering Curtis, which was funny. I actually laughed at something Curtis said today. He was like, "I got one good nerve left," and I said, "Not one good nerve." But then Justine comes, and Curtis kind of snaps at her, but she was like, "Oh, I'm coming as a friend." And then Laura asks her to run interference with Sidwell, who then tries to plant the seed with Justine that Sonny had something to do with Jordan's car accident and with Marco's death. if Sonny wanted Jordan dead, Jordan would have been dead a long time ago. He not just half dead, laying dead now. I'm just saying. But that was General Hospital for this week. It was all right. I wish Jordan had died, but we move. I'll see you guys next week. Be safe this weekend. Now,